to the Equine Classroom. We are so excited to teach you how to play the bit game today. We use the bit game as a teaching tool to teach our riders how to stop and steer their horses. It takes 2 people to play this game, 1 to be the horse and 1 to be the rider. What's a bit, you may ask? It's a device that we use on some of our horses. It is a middle piece that goes in their mouth and helps them to stop and steer. Now the bit is made up of 2 separate pieces. The first being the mouthpiece, and as the name implies, it goes in the horse's mouth. The second being the cheek piece. The cheek piece hangs outside of the horse's mouth and the reins attach to it. The reins are what you hold in your hands to help stop and steer your horse. For our horse who will be holding the bit, the first step to holding it is making ninja hands. You will slip your ninja hands underneath the bit and cradle it in your thumb and forefinger. Now your rider will take the reins, flip them over the back of the horse's body. The way that we teach our girls to pick up the reins is by using the Girl Scout Promise. So on each hand, you hold up 3 fingers, place them on the reins with your fingertips facing each other. Slip your thumb underneath the rein and then wrap your fingers around and pick up like so. Now, like any good game, there are a few things to keep in mind while role-playing a horse or a rider. Let's start with the horse. Our camp horses are always very sweet and well-behaved. Ideally, they would never run away without their rider. And they would never not stop when the rider asks them to stop.
Whoa! 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 Nelly! Whoa! Stop!
And they definitely would always listen to the rider telling them to turn.
Turn now. Turn right. Right?
No,
right
on
now.
you.
Right?
No.
That direction.
No.
Not left. To the right. Turn!
So like any good camp horse, they'll walk when asked. They'll stop when asked.
Whoa.
And they'll turn when asked.
Turn.
Good pony. So my riders, let's start with the basics. To get our horses to move, we will sweetly and gently cluck to our horse. To turn, we'll bring one hand back to our hip and the other hand forward towards our horse's shoulder. To get our horses to stop, we'll pull both hands back to our hips and say,
Whoa.
Sometimes when first learning to ride, riders like to shake their reins to get their horses to walk.
Yeah.
Or they like to immediately kick their horse to make them go. Neither of these things are very sweet. We always want to start off softly and gently with a cluck. There we go. Good. Also, sometimes when our riders are learning, they like to pull just a little too hard to make our horses turn. Again, not very soft or sweet. Or they like to pull a little too hard to make our horses stop.
Whoa!
If your horse steps back into you, it's just a little too hard. Also, some of our riders like to pull all the way up to their shoulders to get their horses to stop. As you can see, this can cause problems. So just to reiterate, cluck sweetly and softly, using louder clucks if your horse won't go, or even louder. There we go. Asking our horses sweetly to turn first, and if they won't turn, a little more, and then a little more, until they finally go. And then when our horses, we want them to stop, we pull back using more and more pressure until you're at a complete stop. To play this game at home, since not everybody has bits and reins just lying around, for the bit, you can use a chopstick, or a pin, or a popsicle stick, or a metal straw. You just want to make sure that it's something that's strong enough if your child pulls on it that it's not going to break. For the reins, you can use ribbon, a dog leash, some string, anything that's a rope-like object to create your reins. When making your bit and reins, make sure that your reins are long enough for your horse and rider. If you have a Daisy or Brownie, it can probably be the length of fingertip to fingertip. If you have a Junior or up, you probably want to double that length. To put it together, first you'll lay your string over your bit on each side. Then you'll take some masking tape or duct tape. And securely fasten the string around the bit. And there you have it, your homemade bit and reins. When playing this game, you want to start simply. Start by asking your horse to walk on. And then a little bit of steering. And it's always good to ask your horse to stop.
Whoa.
Now, once you've gotten pretty good at the walk, stop, and steer, you can start getting a little fancier by doing figure eights, or circles. And if your kids are getting really good at it, they can ask their horse to trot.
Trot.
And if they're getting really, really good at it, then they can ask their horse to canter.
Canter.
And then halt.
Whoa.